I've made it clear on many occasions that I'm a big fan of Flau'jae Johnson's game. I think she has a chance to be the best player in college basketball from what I've seen, but she's also multi-talented, which is apparent to anybody with eyes or ears. She's got the rapping career going on to the point where her Wikipedia page says American rapper and basketball player. She also has a podcast where she discusses various things, best of both worlds, I believe it's called, a play off of her ability to play ball and her ability to rhyme. And, she talked about Stephanie White and why she liked the Fever's hiring of Stephanie White, because she felt in her interaction when White recruited her before she decided to go to LSU, that she just got those vibes, that she had the right aura as a coach and would be a great coach. So Flau'jae all in on the Fever hiring Stephanie White, which has been the basic tone that I think most people have had, that Stephanie White is a great coach. You put her with Caitlyn Clark, obviously. You put her with Aaliyah Boston. If they re-sign Kelsey Mitchell, and a Fever team that went to the playoffs can take that next step and go to the championship. Here's what Flau'jae had to say on her podcast when discussing that very issue and telling her personal story.
All right, headline number 2. Let's talk about these new WNBA coaches making waves. Now, y'all seeing the Chicago Sky, Coach T, they let her go after one season, which was crazy to me. They let the Indiana Fever head coach go, which was kind of not surprising, but kind of, right? Tyler Marsh, the development coach that was the coach on the Aces, he's not a head coach of the Chicago Sky. He's now the head coach of the Chicago Sky. But let me tell y'all, the Indiana Fever having Stephanie White as a head coach, I really like that. Like, I love that. I feel like she a player's coach. Like, I even remember when she was recruiting me at Vanderbilt, like, I was like, I like this lady. Like, I want to go play for her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she would have stayed, she ended up leaving Vanderbilt. But if she would have stayed, like, I probably would have had Vanderbilt in like real consideration. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't really care to go with people, where they already are. Nah, I was trying to go where I like the people. And she seemed like a good coach, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think I like this for the Indiana Fever. So next season, I'm going to be seeing, but I really think I like that. I really think that is a good addition. Like, I really believe that. Tyler Marsh, I'm ready to see how this goes. Head coach, he was a head of player development. Head coaching is a different ball game, but if he's been around Becky Hammond and he's been learning how she do things and how the operation runs, and he's been really locked into it, and he should be able to adjust quickly and just dealing with the players. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's basketball, but it's so much other stuff that come with it and stuff like that. So I'm just excited to see how this goes, because they have a good young core. You know what I'm saying? They have the Chicago side, they have a great young core. So I'm just ready to see how this go, man. They're making waves, like new teams, new coaches. It's getting real in the WNBA. It's getting serious. I ain't never seen so many people moved in and out like this, though. Like, they really breaking ground. They said new season, new things. See how I go.
That last point is, of course, true. Flau'jae, the sky hire, I've talked about it. I think, give him a shot. Give him a shot to prove what he can do. But clearly she's effusive because of her personal experience with Stephanie White. And, Flau'jae has been supportive of Caitlyn Clark in the past. They were together at the All-Star game. I've seen Clark comment Big Four on her posts. So Fever fans are, of course, going to take those complimentary words and be like, Flau'jae, come to the Fever. Flau'jae. I don't think that's very realistic, just because wherever Flau'jae was projected to go before, I believe she's going to climb a lot higher on draft boards by the time she is indeed drafted, whether she declares this year or she's eligible after this season or waits until 2026. I could honestly see her being in the running for the number 1 pick by next season. She has already taken off this year. She has a certain energy to her game that can't be replicated. That's just really fun to watch. I mean, I think with Clark, one of the things that a lot of people couldn't put their finger on, and you can look at the specific skill sets, and to me, it's the court vision that separates her, and obviously the deep shooting. But there's just a pizzazz to her game that people couldn't really explain, but that made her popular. I'm sorry. And Flau'jae, I'm not saying she's Caitlyn in that sense, but she is indeed has a magnetism, and a charisma to her game that you can't really just explain it. And I honestly, I find her more entertaining to watch right now than I do Paige or Juju. We'll see if she can prove herself to that level and get into that conversation. But nonetheless, all conversations seem to circle back to the Indiana Fever. And only people who are forcing themselves into a position seem to take any issue with the hiring of Stephanie White. In fact, even the people who are taking the negative position aren't taking a negative position towards Stephanie White. They are saying, well, Christy Sides did a good job. Why is Christy Sides gone? She did a good job. This doesn't make any sense. How could Christy Sides be out the door? And again, I'm not saying Christy Sides didn't, do a job that's not worth at least recognizing. It's not fair to her to dismiss everything that took place or the turnaround. But I think most people thought the Fever could do better. And I think the Fever team has communicated in their body language and everything else, their words, they're showing up at the press conference that they feel that they have done better and that they're excited for the future. But, that seems to be the only drawback people can come up with. Oh, Christy Sides did good. How could you possibly do this? And I think the Fever feel like they got the one. They got the coach who's going to be linked to Clark and Boston and whomever else for the remainder of their careers, who's going to be the one that guides them to the promised land and that you'll never be able to separate. And Flau'jae vouching for her is just another little piece of evidence there. Doesn't really mean anything, but it means something, if you get my drift. As far as Flau'jae coming to the Fever, I think the Fever are going to be too good, and I think Flau'jae is going to rise up the draft boards too high for that to be an actual possibility. But my goodness, I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you would have a bit of a glut, I guess, at guard at that point, but you make do, that assuming Kelsey is back in the fold for the Fever. But yeah, I get the emotion and the feeling from Fever fans because I've seen a bunch of comments like that, and it's understandable. It makes sense. But I do think it's more of a Fever dream than anything else by the time we get to the point where Flau'jae is drafted, because I do think she's just going to position herself too high, and the Fever are going to position themselves too low in a good way for that to ultimately come to fruition. But Flau'jae, she's talented. She's a talented hooper and beyond. And I'll take her stamp of approval for Stephanie White as Fever coach.